Hello, everybody. How's it going? Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday. It's bye week. It's bye week for LSU here. And, usually when bye weeks happen, you like to save your content that's kind of maybe not completely about the team or whatever. You want to be, delivering some maybe topical stuff that maybe isn't just so ensconced with LSU football, but also is like talking about the people at the core of LSU football, that type of a thing. Maybe the more human stories come out and when bye week happens, that type of a thing. Well, man, if you want to talk about a human story and getting the type of story that many of us hoped, many of us longed for, but didn't know would come, Kyren Lacy has just gotten the justice he has long deserved. His attorney, Matthew O'Reilly, on I think it was HP 10 or something like that, Huma TV station, did a interview, and we have reached out to Matthew O'Reilly many times, and he was legally, it seems, held from being able to say anything or release the footage or any of this until I guess now, which seems really, I mean, man, the bureaucracy of our justice system is ridiculous. It may have cost us someone's life here. But he goes on a station, and for 40 something minutes, 45 minutes, something like that, and he goes on and points out one inconsistency after another in the state police report, the witness statements, the body cam footage showing witness statements being directed by police officers. Literally, a man is saying, no, he did not cause that accident. And you have a police officer responding, well, yeah, he did. He was coming right at you head on. And basically, well, you make sure you put that in the statement. You got to put that in the statement. And then the body cam goes off after a few kind of back and forths where the man denies that Kyren Lacy, his Dodge Charger, had anything to do with the accident. It is frankly unbelievable. But it is sickening, and it is sad that this has taken this long for Kyren Lacy to receive some type of justice, to have his name cleared. And yet, if you're Matthew O'Reilly, his defense attorney, you knew this footage was there all along. 72.6 yards away from the accident site. And yet the state police is still, in the wake of this evidence, traffic light footage from businesses around the area, the footage showing the path, showing Lacy's traveling path, showing the other car's path. And they still want to maintain that Lacy had something to do with this accident because he was driving recklessly, quotation marks, recklessly, getting in and out of a lane, supposedly, going over 100. This whole thing. And I watched my shows back to make sure, like, did you like, say something that may have made people think he was guilty? What did you do? How did you report this when it came out? And I thought we had been, innocent until proven guilty, kind of not fully back up Lacy to the hilt, but also saying like, hey, you're trying to say he caused an accident without getting a scratch. You're going to have to prove that. Like, that kind of doesn't make much sense. And that was kind of where we were able to see our coverage going, it was like, hey, this is what they're saying. And they seem really certain about it, that he for sure did this. If they're that certain, where's the film to prove that? Because it seems like someone who was not directly involved in an accident still did it. So, okay, there's got to be dash cam footage, all this stuff, right? And it turns out the dash cam footage that would be at the center of this case doesn't prove Lacy's guilt. It exonerated him. And the fact that the state police still want to maintain that he is guilty isn't just disgusting, it is diabolical. And do you know why they're doing this? You know damn well why they're doing this. They are hellishly afraid that that really awesome attorney, Matthew O'Reilly, who without getting payments since his client's death back in April, for the last 5 months is still taking his time, pushing his time to get justice for his fallen client. He said it at Lacy's funeral. I got your back, dog. I'm gonna clear your name. I got your back, dog. I got you. He said that to Lacy in this life, and he proved that to Lacy after his death, to his family, to everyone else. You're gonna go up against that lawyer in a case that is so open and shut against the state police, potentially those officers, and definitely the lying witness. You have a major lawsuit on your hands here. A major lawsuit on your hands here. And I'm not sure exactly how the Lacys are going to proceed. But if I were the Lacys, I would seriously consider moving out of the state of Louisiana, as long as you're potentially going to pursue that. That is me saying that out of love for these people. I do not want harm to befall any of them. We have just seen these police on body camera footage. They did everything not to put out there. They did everything to not let this get released. They did everything to block its release, to the point that a young man killed himself because of it was never put out there. And he thought it would never put out there. And he thought he would never get justice in a system that seems to be too often rigged against young black men in this state. And Kyren Lacy had every right to feel that way, because that's exactly what they did. It is unbelievable. But the evidence is right there. The evidence is right there. Fixing the witnesses' statements. Claiming he caused this accident when he's 72.6 yards behind the point of impact. How did he get blamed for this? Why did the police zero in on, we got to locate this charger, instead of looking at the evidence of 3 different cars in front of them that all drove like idiots and ran into each other? But instead it's this focus on this other car that had nothing to do with it. And instead of finding footage that would prove that Lacy was driving recklessly and absolutely caused the deaths of these people, instead, all we have to find, of this person, of Herman Hall, just one person died in the incident. Instead of that, what we find is footage that completely proves that this is one of the most disgusting, one of the most dangerous, and one of the most, in my opinion, kind of terrifying cases I've heard of in recent memory. Kyren Lacy had almost every advantage. He was a student athlete for LSU in the state of Louisiana, the number 1 receiver on the team, the number 1 leader in touchdowns in the SEC. He showed up, he balled out, he caught the winning touchdown against Ole Miss, the 100th anniversary celebration of Death Valley in overtime, an epic, unforgettable, legendary, iconic LSU moment. And he was going to go on and be a high draft pick in the top, 2-3 rounds. That was taken from him for God knows what reason. And the only reason I can think of is someone did not want to admit their own culpability. They did not want to have this accident, on their hands once they realized someone died. And they figured, well, this guy won't really get in trouble. Maybe he'll go to court, have to, figure this out. But he's got all the NIL money. He's good. we'll blame this on this kid because we saw him driving around and it's Thibodeau. Everyone knows each other. Something like that. That's the only thing I can think of. Someone at the scene of the accident they caused this whole thing to happen. And I think it's clearly that female driver who you could hear the witness in the body cam footage who was over and over protesting to the cop, no, Kyren Lacy did not do this. And he didn't even know it was Kyren. He was saying the Charger had nothing to do with it. The Charger had nothing to do with it. And so it's very interesting to me, too. They said that they accused that Kyren drove around the crash scene. In the first report, when they first broke this story, this is what makes it so sick about the reporting side of this, too. In the first story they broke about this, they made sure to go on and on about how he drove around the crash site and didn't render aid and just drove off like he is just Mr. Evil. And it's like, if they're discussing the existence of this Charger driving around, if they even saw Lacy driving around that much, it proves that Lacy actually was looking at, did they just get in an accident? Oh my God, what just happened? He actually gave a shit enough to kind of look as he drove past. What's going on here? So the fact that they blame it on him is absolutely insane. The whole statement makes no sense. So like, okay, they're driving along. He pulls up alongside them trying to pass. There's nowhere for him to pass. It's too dangerous for him to pass. He doesn't pass, so he gets back in the lane. And then they go nuts like 20 seconds later when he's 72 yards behind them and get in their own accident. Some other guy goes flying head on to them from the other side of the freaking other direction of the road. Like, how does that make any sense of it being Kyren Lacy's fault? When you listen to the actual just witness statements, it's ludicrous. It's ludicrous. And I remember when this first broke, it was, oh my gosh, Kyren Lacy in trouble. Oh my gosh. And there was that feeling of, oh man, he's in trouble. This is heavy. And so because of the heaviness of the news and the, oh my gosh, this just happened. Whoa. The media uses that to their advantage to go at stories from different emotional perspectives. And they worked this thing. When you see the contrast of Herman Hall with the dog, the photo of him with the dog, the Marine veteran, and then it shows Lacy in his LSU stuff, in his LSU jersey, the life of privilege and all a student athlete, all this stuff, NIL money. Oh man, they knew what they're doing. There was of course he was stupid and driving around recklessly and was crazy and of course these dumb kids are just going crazy. They don't know what they're doing, the NIL and stuff. And I heard that so much at the time. And it just made me keep thinking, okay, I see that side of it. We see it all the time at Georgia. We just saw Colin Hurley get in an accident as well. There's been stuff that's gone on. Student athletes have been frankly terrible with vehicles in the last few years. And yes, NIL does have a big deal, to play into it. Why wouldn't it? It's car dealerships and the leases of cars is a direct transaction in most NIL deals. Like the main thing is, hey, here's your car. So I understand why you would say it, but at the same time, Kyren Lacy's involvement in this accident is completely nil. It is like if a bank robber busts into a bank at the Mountain America like 2 blocks away right now, and I'm in my house with my little boy and my lady, and we're just kind of chilling in here. We've been sitting here all day. There's no evidence that we would have gone into the bank, but there's 3 or 4 male bank robbers who go and they rob the bank and all this stuff. But no, the cops come in here and bust down the door and, hey, it's got to be you. Like, that is how absurd we are taught. That's how absurd this is. I don't understand how Kyren Lacy got caught up in this, other than really stupid, really shoddy, really corrupt police work, and a really conniving, really manipulative woman who knew Herman Hall's death was on her, and there was no way in hell she was going to go down for it. This privileged football player, he has to go down for it because, hey, I can't go down for this. Oh my gosh, I have so much more to lose. He'll be fine. It's sick. It's absolutely disgusting. And you're seeing there's so many. We can call some of these people out by name. Tracy Cowley. She's a follower of ours. I think she's a cool lady and stuff. A little politically extreme for me. Like, I'm not that one way or the other. I think it's, whatever. But she said, risked his own life, took another, ruined his own life, took another. That was her post on the original breaking news. And it was heartless. It was cold. And then she's instantly, when the news of Lacy's innocence comes out, she goes, oh my gosh, this is so horrifying. Oh my gosh, this is so sad. And people are like, is this you? Is this you? Like, people are looking it up right now. People are taking stock of what people said right now. And there's a reckoning that's going on right now. And the way that, I've been on the blood path. I'm sorry if anyone feels offended or like I've gone after them for this or whatever. I'm not trying to do that. But if you joked about the death of a kid, if you got, your main pursuit was, I got to get hits and clicks about the death of a kid, the suicide of a kid. If you felt like you had to improve your ratings with the suicide of a kid, or trying to push this narrative that he's a guilty, Jalen Carter, basically, or a Henry Ruggs mixed in one. Both of them mixed in one because he killed a veteran, damn it. He killed a veteran. Which means he basically killed 90 people. Get him. Like, it was literally like watching a mob in real time. And I kept saying it. I kept saying it. And I know people at the time did not want to hear it. They were pissed at me. They were saying, you're a pussy. You're soft. You're all this stuff, just because I said we need to wait for some type of clarification. I want to see that footage. They seem to be so sure he did this. Okay, then show us the footage that he did this. Because there's got to be footage that he either did this or footage that he didn't. Because this makes no sense. This makes no sense why they would be so certain just based on a witness statement, especially when he has not a single scratch on his car. And I remember asking his defense attorney, Matthew R.I.P, and his law firm multiple times, let's do a story, let's do an interview. I was told we can't do that about the legal process. There's only so much we can say. Maybe we can figure something out in a few months, yada, yada, yada. And then somebody from his legal team, who I will not give their name, reached out to me after the fact and said, I think it's cool that you're trying to get, the other side of the story, because right now he's basically being crucified and he's going to get off of this. He's going to be let free, and people are going to be shocked when they see what happened here. And I was like, really, when they see what happened here, what do you mean by that? Are you talking about footage? And he was like, yes, there's footage that clears Kyren Lacy. And I'm not certain about this, but someone told me that Matt Moscona also said something along those lines, possibly around the same time, that there was indeed footage that cleared Kyren Lacy. And when he passed away, I watched that show again, and we say at the very beginning that, damn, why couldn't he have held out for this footage that clears him? You know, like I kept saying it and kept saying it, and I'm thinking, watching it now, how was I so sure that this footage would clear him? And then I listened to kind of some of the rants that I was doing at the time on the show, and it was like, wow. Even I understood at the time how like ridiculous this story was. And I think it's also because I talked to the Lacys themselves. And I think it's also because I talked to people like Tanya Neighbors or Malik, people that are around Kyren who knew who Kyren actually was, who could tell me, dude, if he even thought he came close to causing this, he would not have driven off and all this stuff. Like, that was the main thing they kept hammering home, was he drove off. He fled from the scene of an accident he caused. Well, so he caused this accident. Where's the hit on his car? His car must be totaled. No, not a scratch. How does that make any sense? It doesn't, but just go with it, because he's, someone we want to deal with. Like, I don't know. It's so weird to me why this happened to Kyren Lacy. Because he had many advantages. But I think this cannot be looked away from, because this is something I was told by someone very close to Kyren. And it really made me think very differently about some people. But someone was like, you see those tributes someone was putting on Instagram, and they sent me like maybe 3-4 links, and it was people that I thought were like best friends with Lacy. I'm not talking about Jaden Daniels, not talking about Blake Neighbors, not talking about Brian Damas Jr. I'm not talking about those guys. But some of these players, some of these people around the program, some of this stuff, they were posting tributes and stuff like that. And they said this is BS because these people wouldn't answer his call for like 3-4 months until he died. Like, once it became kind of cemented in the public consciousness that he allegedly caused the death of this man and all, a Marine, all this stuff. There were very close people to Kyren Lacy who turned their back on him, would not take those calls, would not help him to kind of, hey, let's talk to the NFL. Let's make sure the NFL lets you into the draft. There's no way that you can tell me that LSU couldn't have pulled those strings. They didn't. There's no way that you can tell me that, like, hey, even though LSU let him work out at their pro day, that they weren't talking to LSU brass about Kyren Lacy and what's going on with this situation. Of course they were. And what did they come away with from that situation? We're not going to let him go to the draft. We're not going to let him go to the combine. We're not going to not to the draft. We're not going to let him go to the combine, which is a big deal. He was a player who definitely could have used it. And so he never had a chance to get in those interview rooms and defend himself. He never had a chance to say his piece. And that's the thing that really bothers me, is one of the last messages I sent to Kyren Lacy was, hey man, I would love to have you on the show. Let's talk about this. Let's get your side of the story. No one's hearing your side of the story. I do this frequently for a lot of stories, a lot of things that have happened. If I feel like there's a side that isn't really being given a platform, our tiny little platform will give them a platform. And in doing that, sure, we're going to get a ton of hits from it, but they are going to like get the major hits from it and get their voice out there, get their message out there. And I think that could have made a difference for Kyren Lacy, to let just that someone at least wanted to hear his side of the story. At least someone wanted to believe he was innocent. And we would have been extremely fair to him, and I really wish that show would have happened. I guess that I'm sure it probably couldn't have, even if he wanted to, because of the legal process and all that crap. But man, I really was thinking about stuff like that last night of what could I have done more? You know, we tried to give this kid the benefit of the doubt. We didn't go after him. We didn't call him names. We didn't post some BS. We didn't celebrate his death. We didn't, we did everything we could to do the opposite of all of that. Spread love, spread fairness, spread justice, but at the same time, I feel like I could have done more. I feel like I should have done more because this case is so bad. When you really just stop everything, put everything to the side, and really look at this case against him, it is like a case from 1925. Like, how did this man get charged with any of this? How did Kyren Lacy get charged with anything here? No proof of negligent driving or reckless driving. No proof of the negligent homicide. No proof he interferes with the vehicles that causes the accident. All of this because some psychotic woman who I'm sure we could find the name of, and I think we should, considering a young man passed away from this, she should be publicly shamed and publicly her life should be ruined. Like I maybe I can't. Maybe I need to come back from the edge a little more from that. But seriously, like, I hope the Lacy family get every single cent. Every single cent. I hope they get every cent. I'm just blown away. I'm just blown away that so many believed this. I mean, you look at some of the comments of what a sick effer and what a sick murderer and stuff like this that they said. And it's like these people who are LSU fans are posting this like 3 minutes after the post was first put up there. So it's like they didn't even click on it. They didn't read anything. They didn't like investigate it for themselves. They just, wow, headline. Wow. He must be a murderer. Like, it is literally unconscionable looking back now. And right now, a lot of people are making sure that everyone knows this is what you said. We weren't perfect when it came to trying to investigate this or trying to cover this. I'm sure there were a few thoughts of, maybe he did do this. Maybe he did do this. They seem so certain. Maybe he did do this. But when it came time to like understanding like what you cannot be judge, jury, and executioner, and that's what the Louisiana State Police were. And you can't do that from the media, which the local Louisiana media were. And then the national media took what they set up and ran with it. You can't do that and shut down people's dreams like the NFL did for zero reason. There's a lot of people with a lot of blood on their hands. I'll just put it that way. And I know Kyren Lacy, the way he took his life was actually a reckless move. Let's be fair. Let's don't pretend like that didn't happen either. But you can see how this young man would be pushed to that brink. I feel like if I had been framed like he was framed, I'm just driving home from work and like almost a football field away in front of me, these guys get in this accident and I'm like, oh my gosh. And then I kind of drive past. People are calling the police. They don't look like they need aid. I can't really see. It just looks like people got in a wreck and they're sitting in their car. Okay. And then you become part of the, like, you become the one who, like, the guilty one, the suspect. Like, it's absolutely savage and disgusting. And how it happened in America in 2024/2025. I think if you ask Governor Landry why that happened, and the complete control he's given the police over that state in a way that is almost, I mean, there are some laws that they've gotten rid of in the state of Louisiana that actually scare me. You cannot film a police incident, a police like investigation, whether that means you're pulled over by a car. I mean, like, you get pulled over by the cops, you have to turn off your phone or your dash cam, because there can be no filming within 20 feet, 25 feet of a police investigation, and they can arrest you for getting in their way, for obstruction. There's just crazy things like that all throughout Governor Jeff Landry and what he's done to the state of Louisiana that just makes zero sense, and has created a lawless vibe within the Louisiana State Police. I'm not saying they're all like that, but if any of them are like this, if any of them can have the lack of conscience to literally go after this young kid, Kyren Lacy, stitch him up for this, and have zero problems doing it, can go to bed at night, those people must be in jail. Those people must have every penny they've ever earned turned over to the Kyren Lacy, foundation, and to the family, and those people must go to jail. Americans are tired with our police never receiving any type of justice. Our police constantly can do whatever they want and get away with it. And the taxpayers are the ones who pay. The taxpayers are the ones who pay. Like, that's the thing that's insane, is when these cops get busted and they get really screwed for what they've done, the taxpayers pay every cent of everything. It's not like, oh my gosh, well, they got caught doing this, now they're gonna have to pay. The taxpayers always pay. The taxpayers always pay. And I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. And I'm tired of I cannot believe that this type of an incident can happen. I can't believe it. I can't believe this type of a thing can happen in 2025 America to a young man like Kyren Lacy, that a future that he had. It's sick. I'm just I want this to be a lesson for everybody that you cannot you cannot just think, oh, because this guy said this dude said this, or this post put this up here, that you just believe it. That goes for me too. If you like, verify everything we put out. Make sure what we're saying is correct. Top to bottom. Never just spout it off right there. Oh, this dude did this. Oh, remember the Duke lacrosse case? These kids are rapists. Like, everyone believed that. And ESPN were terrible in the way that they led that charge. Some people in the media almost got those kids put away for life. What happened with Kyren Lacy pushed a young man over the edge to the point that he took his own life. And it's a major lesson. It's a major lesson. I don't know how people could believe those main reporting institutions again. I don't know how someone could believe the two W's who first reported this ever again. You sold this complete BS story. And yet everyone wants to pretend that only people like me are the only one who make mistakes reporting. And all these people who they pay their mortgages with this stuff, oh, they're the ones who get this stuff right. They're the ones who get the stories. Actually, no, because the people who get paid the big money absolutely screwed up here, and didn't just screw up. They did everything they could to make this kid look as guilty as possible. And it's just about time Kyren Lacy gets his justice. It's about time. And we're not even close to through yet with this. Like, he has to, like, he needs to be paid. His family must be paid. What happened is so scandalous. The lawsuit could be consequentially big. I mean, we could be talking about an astronomical amount of money, because you're not only valuing into it everything they did to Kyren. They stole the dude's diamond chain that's worth $2 million off his neck and never gave it back to the family. Where's that? Where's that? These cops are like thugs, man. There's the Charger, the value of the Charger, which is never in an accident until he took his own life in it. There's the value of his NFL career lost. And that, that's hard to maybe factor in there, but you can go even off of just a basic average contract size. And we're talking a lot of money here. We're talking 8 figures here, for sure, for the Lacy family. And I'm being 100% dead serious here. Kenny Lacy, Candace Lacy, you got to get the family and you got to move out of Louisiana, because you're about to sue the state police and really bankrupt the state of Louisiana in certain ways. Like, if you're going to pursue those type of legal pathways, which you really must. It's almost a duty to, because the way your son was completely railroaded. It can't happen again anywhere else. There needs to be a lesson taught, but you need to protect yourself and be very careful while doing this. I've been talking to Candace recently, and I absolutely love that woman. She has so much faith. She has so much belief. She has so much just love and trust in God's plan, even if she says she doesn't understand why her son had to go, why this happened. But now she and her husband Kenny, they're really pushing everything to try and make sure that mental illness and suicide are things that don't happen again. Trying to make sure that young people who go down that path next time, maybe those kids won't pick that choice at the final moment, because they think of Kyren and they think of what could have been with him, what could have been taken from him. It's unbelievable. We could have been talking about Super Bowls. We could be talking about Pro Bowls, talking about MVPs. You just never know. I mean, look at anyone who could be laughing or scoffing at that. It's like, look at the career Jerry Rice had. What college did he come from? It was like the smallest college on earth. Like, like some of the greatest careers in NFL history are guys who came out from really small schools. And you have Lacy go all the way up to LSU and do it at the highest level, it was an obvious duh he was going to get that opportunity to really make it happen at the biggest stage. And because of this lying witness, because of these corrupt police, because of the bureaucracy of the slow judicial system, especially in Louisiana, where an air conditioner is keeping Trey Holly from playing for LSU, it all failed Kyren Lacy. It all failed Kyren Lacy. It failed the entire state of Louisiana by taking one of its native sons who was going to be another great from the state. And he'll always be remembered as a legend. He'll always be remembered as an icon. And to be honest, his legend is growing because of this. The people who wanted to silence him, people who wanted to put him away for a long time, people who wanted to ruin his future, they don't understand what they've created. They lost. We all lost Kyren Lacy, but now they're about to lose everything they've ever worked for, and everything that they hold dear around them is about to come crumbling down because of what they did to this young man. Judgment Day is nigh. And it's about to be belt to ass time for the people who did this to Kyren Lacy. Rest in peace. Long live K2. Kyren, if you're listening to this, watching this somewhere, we love you, man. We all let you down. We all did. We should have been more forthright in believing you. And I wanted to believe you. I wanted your side of the story, man. We just didn't get there in time. We didn't communicate in time. And that's a big lesson for me for the future. To seize the moment, seize the day. When I think of something like that and think of the importance of it, to go fully to the mat until it's done. I needed to push Kyren to really do that show, and I should have. And that's on me. It really could have helped things. But things happen the way they happen, and I don't know. It's hard to even understand why stuff like this happens in this world. Why this needed to happen. It makes no sense. Why his two little brothers had to be lost without him for the last few years now. I mean, not the last few years, for the last few months now. At their, right as they're about to hit that age where they need all the men they can look up to. Just an absolute tragedy. We've seen Garrett Nussmeier in practice at LSU. After Brian Kelly said that Nuss would not practice, not even once, he'd be shut down for MVB to take all the reps, LSU themselves post a photo of Nuss kind of staring off, 1,000-yard stare, not even looking at who he's handing the ball off to, kind of looking off to the side, handing the ball off in practice. And it's, the key is the details or stuff like that. And it was like, yeah, you got me looking at everyone here because this is ridiculous. What is going on here? Coach, or I almost just called him Coach Orgeron on accident. Coach Kelly literally said he's not going to practice. And then there he is. What the hell does that even mean? Like, what? I mean, like, obviously, you want to keep him fresh, keep him in the rhythm of things. If he cannot move, if he cannot throw the football, if he cannot do these things. He needs to heal from these injuries. The healing is the priority. Going out and practicing, I don't know. Like, sure, he's just handing off the ball. If that's all he's doing, I don't really, okay. But why does he need to do it? Why? Why does it need to happen? I don't think there's a good reason why. I don't think there's any reason why. I think it's just this BS about he practiced. He was, a man. He practiced. Like, I don't know what it's just. There's just this fake, false bravado bullshit that's going on way too much. Trying to play through every injury, trying to tough through every practice. Like, we don't need you to practice. We need MVP to practice in case he needs to be ready. We need Nussmeier to heal so that he can be back to his normal self. Is that not clear? But it just leads more down this rabbit hole of none of this makes any sense. None of this. Of course, Nuss is banged up in multiple areas. Of course, the offense is a complete disheveled, disorganized, disjointed mess. Of course, both are like causing, aggravating each other's issues. But there's so much more to this, I feel, that we'll even know because of certain ways that LSU tried to play the situation, the messaging of the situation, and then the results, the moments they didn't quite expect or see coming, kind of screwing things up for them. So it's hard to know what to make of it all, and I'm just going to kind of leave it there. And South Carolina week begins now, and we'll just have to see what happens. Everybody, thank you for this special edition show. Very emotional few days, very intense few days. The last probably 5-6 days here. A lot of craziness, a lot of stuff going on, a lot of stories to break, a lot of investigating and deep diving and talking to others to get into. We've had to talk to a lot of people. We've had to make a lot of calls. We've wanted to talk to a lot of people, a lot of other people as well. So there's a long list of people who have given me information or knowledge maybe I didn't quite have. And I feel comfortable to say in closing that I feel like LSU season is far from over. LSU season still has a major chance to come together and figure this out for the future ahead. And guess what? I think it might be utilizing both Garrett Nussmeier and Michael Van Buren. It's all about timing, baby. It's all about timing. It's all about play calling. It's all about matchups. It's all about moments. And right now, it could be the moment of MVP coming up here. And then Nuss comes back in the situation maybe a few games later, and he's the main starter for the rest of the season. But in these key moments, we'll have MVP come in and run it in short yardage, red zone, stuff like that. 3rd and 1, have him run it in. 4th and 1, stuff like that. I could definitely see that. We've been told there's some talk of that being an option. That doesn't mean that's going to happen. That there's just talk that that's going to be an option. And that's good. That should be an option. That should be an option there, obviously. We need to start getting photos of Michael Van Buren up in our thing, that's for sure, because this guy might be throwing football for LSU and starting a quarterback coming soon here enough. But I think there's going to be a chance for, a spot at the table for both quarterbacks going forward here, because simply put, I don't think Nuss will be able to finish a full season without it. Without those reps where he's off the field, not taking any of those hits. So we'll have to see here. It's getting very interesting. It continues to get interesting. It continues to get weird. You know, it continues to get weirder and weirder and weirder. Like, you know, they could send us like, hey, we regret to announce Brian Kelly's left leg has been blown off by a cannon at the Civil War Museum when the team went, you know, on some field trip. And then like the next thing you'd see is Kelly like walking around with like, you know, FU written on black marker on his left leg that like is, you know, totally fine. Like that's what it seems like is going on. Like a bit of trolling, a bit of like, I think what happened here. Let me give you my theory from just all of the people I've talked to, all of the lines I've crossed, all of the information I've received, put it all in a barrel. What does it mean? Kind of calculate it all out. I think what this all has meant is Garrett Nussmeier did have 2 injuries during fall camp, just like Kelly revealed. But I don't think he knew they were going to get as bad as they became, because he said, yes, the offense has been bad, but after the Florida game, he said, Nuss has been hurt with a torso injury, was his word at the time, torso. Now he's changed it to abdominal injury, which is exactly what we were reporting long ago before this even started, before it was even announced. And many know that for a fact. It's very interesting because Kelly, you know, revealed those injuries. Okay. And then there's kind of this timeline where after he's revealing these injuries, he's only revealing the injuries by, you know, hey, this is why the offense sucked versus Florida. Okay. It's not going to be a big deal. Trying to kind of send out that, you know, little message to the world. Like, our offense doesn't suck. Nuss is just hurt. Hang in there with us for a few weeks. Like he has to win over people's opinions. It's ridiculous. And then the other team knows exactly where to hit Nussmeier against Ole Miss. And before that, against Southeastern, I skipped a game there. A game we probably shouldn't have played Nussmeier in. I'm going to actually say definitely shouldn't have played him in. We play him, and he clears through the first half. But for some dumb reason, they want to have him come out and take 1 series in the second half. 1 series in the second half, okay? Nussmeier goes out there for the first second half series, and he throws a touchdown. It's beautiful, but he gets pummeled low. And you watch it, he's hobbling off the field, and it like just looks like he's like F. Like that freaking killed, you know. And I remember that clear as day because I was furious. Like, why the hell was he out there? Why? What are we doing? And then I think Kelly was like, oh my God, now his injuries are way worse than I thought they were going to be. Oh my God, he just aggravated these injuries because of our mismanagement. Oh shit, you know. You go play Ole Miss with a really hurt quarterback, and the narrative is, well, we're just going to gut through this and we're going to get him to bye week and we'll be fine. And instead, it's quite obvious what happens. And LSU only still lose by a single possession. We could have won that game if we had just made a few changes. And instead, we stuck with him the whole way in the game, and we lost the game. Again, another close, low-scoring game for LSU. And a season kind of full of them. It makes me feel like they wanted to put that out there, but then it kind of backfired on them. And so now they're scrambling as to what the messaging will be. But I feel like that's what happened, is reveal that he's injured so that we don't, you know, people don't rag on the offense all week. And so he does. And then people start to target the injury. Or it aggravates way beyond what Kelly thought was going to happen. And then Brian Kelly is, oh, shit. And there's really no excuses, no weird tales to spin anymore. And it's just kind of like a weird, screwed up situation now where you have a hurt quarterback. You have a backup that We don't really know what he can provide, but if he can function better than Nussmeier against Ole Miss, he needs to play. So you're in a position where you might be playing two quarterbacks coming here. It might be MVB for the next few games, and then against Alabama, maybe you're using both. It very well could be MVB for every game in October. That wouldn't shock me. That's how roughed up Nuss appears to be. At the same time, hopefully he heals up. You've got weird, wild theories from people like Mike Scarborough saying Nuss isn't even hurt. He's not even hurt. He just sucks. And I think that was absolutely hilariously ridiculous because obviously he saw a photo of Nuss in practice, and so he got angry and he's fine. And someone told him he was practicing. He was fine. There's no problem. He's actually practicing, even though Kelly said he isn't. So that means he's fine. And I think that's absolutely ridiculous that you would think our head coach would reveal that our star quarterback has two injuries that he doesn't have. Because if that's true, if we have a head coach that would reveal two injuries that our quarterback doesn't have, then just throw it all away, throw it all out. Start from zero at that point. Everybody, thank you so much for being a part of the show. We really love you. It looks like we got a lot of people watching. Not as many comments as usual, but a lot of people watching. Shout outs to my man King Cole. Shout out to my man the Tyga, a man who was there during the Saban era. Shout out to who should we shout out? Oh, Harold Hibbard, my guy Harold. Shout out to who should we shout out? Whiskey Bay. Why not? He can be a dick, but he's actually a cool guy sometimes too. He started to be a lot cooler to us, and so we're like, okay, whatever. That's cool. If you're gonna be cool with us, we'll be cool with you, type of thing. Kind of our policy with everybody. I want to really thank all of you for giving us the time to be able to do this, giving us your patience, your investment. We've got so many subscribers watching us right now. We want to thank every single one of you guys. You guys are amazing. And I just want to thank you guys all for watching and letting me do this. I am an extremely lucky guy. I'm an extremely lucky guy. I've got a beautiful, beautiful kid, a baby girl on the way as well, a pregnant, crazy wife who kicks ass, takes names, even when she's pregnant. She goes hard. And then, we have shelter over our head. I get to do one job that supplies the money that we can afford to live off of, and it gives me the free time to do this job at the same time. I live a very charmed life, and I really couldn't ask for more, really. I mean, like, God has been so good to us. Obviously, I want more. Obviously, I want financial security. I want, some type of home, a fence, We've got a nice yard here. We've got some cool stuff, but, you want land. You want an area of your own. Obviously, I want to be able to protect my kids in every way, shape, or form for the future. Obviously, I want to be able to provide from them in every way, shape, or form for the future and the current. But I just love life, and I feel very grateful right now for what we have, even if it might be, I think if you saw our bank accounts, you would be like, whoa. So, I mean, not much, but I just really grateful because I have my life. I have my health, whatever's left of it. Um, and I just really am grateful for all of you. I think you guys we're the number one fan base in the country for a reason, because we care that much. But we also need to learn a very big lesson from what happened with this Kyren Lacy thing, and we cannot do that again. And what I love about our fan base is that there's guys like Cordell who are like, I've got receipts. I'm calling all y'all out. I love that. He's making sure everyone who slandered his name is paying the piper right now. And I love it, respect it. Salute you, my man Cordell. Another shout out to my man Cordell. A big shout out to my man T-Bob, who's kicking ass at Barstool. Everybody, have a hell of a night. We'll be doing an LSU Odyssey Sunday live. I mean, you never know what's going to happen at LSU. It's just insane from day to day. And from the tragedies to the triumphs, everything in between, LSU, it's life. It is just life. And it is life in a microcosm that through a football lens. And that's why we love it.